to sit there as well, like the lady, and just have a little grin on his face. And I thought one day, I just want to slap that grin right off of your face. What are you laughing at? Like, it was that. It was like an uninvited guest. It was that. And I remember praying sometimes, doing what my grandma said, and praying and asking them to go. And they just wouldn't quite go. So they would either go as in, okay, you're not going to see me tonight, but I would feel them there. I'd be like, I know it's you. You're still in the room. Hello and welcome to an episode of Awaken to Joy. I'm going to speed through this. This is a space for anybody who is going through a spiritual awakening, thinks they are, wants to, maybe, but still has regular lives to lead. Still knows that there is regular life to be lived and wants to integrate the experience into their daily life still. Not quite interested in the feeling that you may get when you feel like what's the point? Though those moments appear naturally, but want to know how to do this simulation thing and the spirituality thing, because here we realize it's all one and the same thing. So anything based around dreams, quantum healing, NDEs, ODEs, downloads, anything like that, if that's your zhuzh, well then welcome. And if it's not, leave it for someone else. All right. So I'm going to start by introducing ourselves. I'm Shem.
Omondi.
And we have been on a spiritual journey for quite some time now. It's kind of like, are we coming out? Are we coming out the spiritual closet right now?
Sometimes it feels like the journey was like my whole entire life. Just didn't realize that's what was going on anyway.
Yeah, I think that too. I think it's more about like whether or not you're consciously going through it, or you know, or you have words to explain what it is you're going through. I come from quite a spiritual family. When I say that, I mean like when I was younger. Since I was young, I was always seeing things, seeing ghosts, seeing spirits, feeling into people's energies, quite empathic, very sensitive, that type of child. And it was met with frustration from some people, kind of like those who didn't quite understand just put it down to me being a crybaby, or put me down to be like a crybaby or something. But really it was just that I felt everything and everyone and whatever they were going through. And it was frustrating for me as a kid because you don't have always the vocabulary to express what's going on. Or you do, and you know that when you do, it's not met with... No one's happy to hear it. No one wants to hear the truth. No one's got time for your truth right now, 8-year-old. And it's that type of feeling. But my grandmother is a healer, and she understood. So if I'd have a dream or if I saw a spirit, it would be like I would tell my parents, and they would say, okay, go to your grandma, and I would kind of just tell her what happened, and she'd be like, okay, say this prayer or do this thing, and then it will ease up or something else will happen, which I did for a very long while, for all of my childhood. And it's always kind of been there, but there was times where I just asked it not to be there. I think I was around 12 years old, and I was like, I've had enough. I no longer wish to see anything or see anyone or be with anyone. I don't want you to come to me. Don't ask me anything. Leave me alone. It was that. And they listened. It kind of went away for a few years. But I would always be the type of person where if someone said, oh, yeah, like someone died in this house, and like joke about it, I would see the person walking around. I'd be like, oh, that was who I saw. And then I quickly realized that never left me. I just chose to ignore it. I just chose to just switch it off. And it got to the point where it was just like normal. But by this time I wasn't scared anymore. So that's just been it.
So how come you were not scared anymore? What's the difference between you not being scared and not reopening the channel, really? And you being scared and not opening the channel because you're scared?
Do you know what it was? I was scared of the dark. And for some reason, they felt like they had to come to me mostly at night. So I was like, this is inconvenient. This is inconvenient for me because I'm already out here scared of the dark. Why are you appearing now? I just switched my light off. Like, why are you here? No one ever gave me the concept that all of these things were happening for me, not to me.
Well, that could be because you were under the influence of the church in the first place. Because it's what, I mean, I've been to Catholic church and, I mean, school.
We were Baptist. We were Baptist at the time. I'm saying we as in
there's a lot of
my mum, and she would take us to church. And I did the church thing for 13 years of my life, so yeah.
Because there's a lot of fears surrounding.
Then
what they call paranormal.
Then simultaneously, it would be like, oh, you know that there's a spiritual side. Oh, you know that it's just our body that dies. Oh, you know that, talking about death was never really taboo in our house. My mum was a nurse, so
but
it was just
always
like
through the eyes of the church. Still, Christianity. And
it was a bit Christianity because we're Jamaican. It was like Christianity and that culture of it as well. The fact that people openly talk about spirit there, so it's like, there's an afterlife. Yeah,
but there's a lot of culture that does this, like talk about it. Like it's part of it, like it's a part of us. But it's still
there's still a fear of it.
There's still a fear of it, or mystical side of it, and you have the odd what do you call it? The odd no wizard, but you know what I mean. Like
there's
the
always
guy you go to girl for it, and tell me about my future. Which I think
there's always a psychic. There's always a psychic somewhere roaming around.
But I think
that everyone's like, no, go to Mr. Whoever because they got the T on whatever. Go speak to them.
Because I think most of people do get this type of experience, but don't shut it down. Don't talk about it. Best off of the fears that is actually there in the first place because of your culture or what. Even if because like you said, you in your family you talked a lot about spirit and it's not unknown things, but you were still scared of it enough to not.
I was scared of this is how it was. I was scared of the dark. I'll tell you about like two prominent people who was always there. There was always a lady there who was like, now I'm older, I know that she wasn't a big woman, but I'm just saying she was about early 20s, maybe 19, 18, dressed in Victorian clothes, always lace dress, up to the neck, gloves, whole 9 yards, hair tied back, white lady, brunette hair, up to her shoulders, pinned up at the back, but like half up, half down type of pin. Like always well dressed, never smiled, never frowned, but would just come and just... And when she'd arrive, like she'd just like arrive, and I had a chair in my room, and I tried so hard to get rid of this chair. I didn't even want the chair there because I didn't use it. All I used to do is dash my clothes on it. And that's where they used to come and sit all the time. So it would be like she just came through, sat down, and then she would just be there.
Yeah.
And then I'd kind of like, you know, when you're like falling to sleep, and then I'd wake up and I'd be like, oh, you're here again. And I'd be like, and then, you know, I remember getting a suggestion from like, I think it was my sister at the time, was saying to me like, why don't you just like, did you talk to him? And I was like, no. Why? And I just got so upset with like waiting for them to go that I would fall asleep before they left. It was one of those ones. And I'd be like, and then one night I was just like, what do you want? What are you here for? Because you know I'm afraid of the dark. That and spiders, why are you here? So it was like that type of thing. So it was more of a nuisance than, oh my gosh, I'm scared of them. It was like, why are you here? I don't even know you. I can't even carry the one, like, what family member are you? Like, what's going on?
Because you would say that then that you were more scared of the dark
I was scared of the dark at that time.
Because, you know, a lot of people, as you know, they think that, you know, there's bad spirit and there's good spirit. And then, you know, because I can understand, like, if you're from a family that believe in these things.
Oh, and part of my family does believe in that. Like, in Obia, or what people would call voodoo. Yeah. But in Jamaica, we call it Obia. But for me, I was more like, listen, okay then. It's not that I don't think it exists. What I felt like when I was a kid is if that's true for you, then it's true. That's what I felt like when I was a kid.
Well, that's kind of like the whole point of manifestation, really.
Not knowing this, that's just how I naturally felt. I was just like, well, if that's true for you, then who am I to sit here and tell you that that's not true for you?
So what changed then now? I mean, you know, do you still see them?
Yeah, I still see them, but now it's like I see them in the day. Like, so it's like, and I could just tell if they are not of this, I'm going to say realm, I don't have the language for it, that will come. I could just tell if they're not of this earth, because they just kind of look like somebody who's lost sometimes, especially the ones who felt like they need to come to me. Though now I'm older, especially with, I believe, because there used to be a man who'd come to me as well. He was really tall, skinny, light-skinned black guy. Looked like he had his hair kind of straightened, a little bit finger wave.
Ancestors?
I know. I know. That I didn't check it at the time, but no one was sitting here. This is the thing. My family's not family tree type of people. So it's not like we can date our family back to whenever. Not for lack of trying, but just for the fact that that's just not what people's interest is. So they don't do it. Yeah, so you can ask and find out, and they'll tell you, but it's not up on the wall to say this is your great grandfather Jeremiah. Well, it's not like that. Yeah. So but I didn't add one and one.
To be fair, I mean, an ancestor could be 1,000-year-old.
Exactly.
Ancestor. So
exactly.
There's no way most of the people wouldn't be able to retrace that far anyway.
Yeah, but at least some people have lineage like they know of like 100 years or 200 years, so they'll be able to be like, oh, that must be this person.
That must be, Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he just used like.
It is true that sometimes you can be in a room and feel the presence of someone.
Oh, 100%.
That is, but I think most of the people go through similar experiences, but I think that some decide to just act like it doesn't exist for their own comfort. Because I can understand why. I mean, if you are fueled by fear and, you know, good, bad, and all that, I can understand why. I think you in a way, I'm not saying you were lucky, but you had people around you that can actually explain more or less what this is.
Well, a lot of it was explained like, oh, well, it's just a spirit.
Yeah. Well, that's
like and then there was the thing that like, they can't harm you, but you need to let them know their boundary. You see what I'm saying?
I guess, yeah.
So you set your boundaries as to what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, and they just have to get with it. Like, Just like as you would speak to anybody and set your boundaries with anybody.
So in relations to now, your life now, what would be the correlations to what you're going through now and what it was then? Because obviously you're talking about this for a reason. So what would that be?
I say this to say, like, quite frankly, the other day, I had a thought about it and I was like, all right, if you were related to me and you were my ancestor in some way, and you saw that I was afraid of the dark but knew that I had the ability to see people, wouldn't you just come check for me and be like, it's all right, I'll take her to bed?
Right.
And I was like, oh, snap. You were just taking me to bed. You were just... Because, you know, when you're in your fear, you're thinking, why is this happening to me? Like you're like shook. Like instead of thinking... And then I went past the shook stage and it was just like a nuisance. But
do you think that the nuisance you saying was just a way for you to overcome the actual fear of it? Because it sounds to me like, you know, when you're being apprehensive about it.
Plot twist, I'm no longer afraid of the dark. So it worked. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you think about it, I know there's the fear of the unknown, because you don't know when you don't know something, or you can't see, let's say you can't actually see something as we are now in this world. But there's also, yes, you see this entity, but it's like you don't know them and you don't see
this is what it is.
Because you I mean, can you explain like how you see them? Because do you see them like you see me now, or it's another way of seeing them?
I'll tell you what it is. I see them as I see you now, but they have a sense about them where it's like they're just observing or they are just bewildered. That's how they appear to me. Now, it might be different for other people, but...
What would you say is clairvoyance? Because it sounds like clairvoyance to me.
I guess, yeah. Not that I feel like I have control over it. It's just that it's something that seems to have always just happened upon me. Like, I guess I manifested it because at the time I was like, oh, I'm scared of the dark and, you know, no one's here. And I did not have nightlight parents. That's all I'm saying. It was like, turn the light off. Go to your bed. Okay.
Was that shade?
No, it was not. Shade, light, yeah, funny. But okay.
We understand each other. But
no, yeah. It just was. You know what I mean? So deal with it. But don't be running up what you think you're going to run my electricity all the way through the night. For a fear over an illusion, no, you're not.
Oh, so you admit that it was still regarded as that being an illusion then?
Well, any fear
to somebody... Do people really truly believe it? Because, you know, I feel
any fear to somebody else is an illusion. It's like, you know when you watch those things and you see people scared of pigeons?
Right.
And you just cracking up because you're like,
it's funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or you see they're scared of like bubble wrap and you're like, wow.
Yeah. Or balloon. I've seen that.
How much compassion do you have for the fact that that's real for them?
Yeah, I guess that's could be another conversation about reality and how you manifest reality as well.
That's the thing. It was at the time when I was little, that was real to me. So it wouldn't matter whether anyone held compassion for it or not. It was real for me, and that was probably something that I felt like I needed. Like, oh, could you come through and help me? But now I'm looking at it, they were there for comfort because they never quite left until the point where I was just used to the fact that they would be there when I go to sleep.
So to comfort you.
And they kind of just held space. Do you know what it was? They just held space for me.
So in a way, it's like you're scared of the very help you gain.
It's not like they came with a sign, I'm here to help you get over your fear of...
About, because for you... But it sounds a lot like...
There was no sign language.
Overcoming, because I can understand as a child, even if your family talks to you about some things, there's still these apprehensions, maybe fear, because you don't know these people. I mean, they're here, but you had the knowing that they don't look like you, so to speak.
All I know,
they're not humans.
Do you know what it is? No, it's not that they were human. It's just they were strangers. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, but how did you determine? Look, it's like having you imaginary friends.
Yeah.
In your mind, you have made that friend real, okay?
Yeah, but that at some point they've introduced themselves, right? So you're on a name-to-name basis, right?
Yeah, I guess that.
They never came through like, hi, my name is Linda and I'm here and none of that. Right. They just came through in my room and I was like, it was like, what are you doing? Who are you? What are you doing? It was like that. It was like, what are you doing here?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So not only was it that you're a stranger, and then obviously I had the belief set that it's stranger danger, right? Don't talk to strangers. Right, and here's a whole stranger in my room.
Yeah, this is what the question is like. So there's still an element of fear here, of not knowing that that's all stranger. At the end of the day, it's all stranger.
It's a whole stranger. But then after a while, it became a nuisance because it was like, oh, this stranger who won't leave.
But perhaps like,
how long is a stranger? How much times do you need to see someone before they're no longer a stranger to you?
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
It was that.
Okay. Hey, bub.
It was like, hey. After a while, I'd come home from school and maybe like, and sometimes they would start coming like, especially if I felt tired, but I was like trying to push myself past the point of my regular bedtime, they would like start appearing like in the mirror. So I'd be in the mirror trying to like, I'd be like trying to, just shenanigans, like teenage shenanigans, like that you're trying to do, whatever. I was like singing along to some song too loud and it was like clearly 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, why are you doing this? Like, take your ass to bed. It'd be like, oh, like their shift has started. So they'd be like already sitting in the chair. And I'd be like, all right, look, I can't do this with you here.
So now you experience today then knowing all of this, because I think people listening right now or are listening right now, they just now like, okay, whether they had similar experiences, because I think that a lot of people have shared the same experience anyway.
When they were kids, probably.
When they were kids, I think it happened a lot when you're a kid. But we don't talk about it, or we're saying that it's all in your mind and so you're crazy or you're going crazy or whatever. Or actually your parents are highly likely to not want to talk about it because how crazy it sounds to the outside world.
I've been told I've been crazy for a lot of things, but never that. So at least that I have parents who hold space for that side of me.
Yeah. So now moving forward, like how do you still experience similar things? Do you still deal with it?
I always have. Like, it's never left. I just deal with it a lot differently, and I'm very strict with my timing and like my privacy and my boundaries with them, because I'm like, listen, I just can't have you up here in my home. Like, you're not just invited. So
how do you deal with it? I mean, what it's all about? Like, what is it for then? Like, you got these entities, they're in your room, they're there now and again, they come and goes.
Well, now they
what are they doing? What is it for?
Well, now I realise, looking back, that was for me.
Right.
To just like be like, well, now you're not alone.
Okay.
I was like, oh, you think you're like a whole person? You're not. But then when I checked, I was like, what's the difference? If someone's sitting on the chair over there and I see you, I see you.
Right.
You know what I mean? How many times have we seen someone on the street, or there's been someone on the street and you ignore them? It's exactly the same. It's like whether you're going to ignore it or not. That's how it was for me. And maybe they were just... The time I stopped being scared of the dark was literally the time that they had kind of left. So it was like they were just there for me to kind of...
So I guess it's an education...
Not be alone, I guess. Or get used to seeing people, whatever they felt that was for. I still have yet to get all of the pieces of that puzzle, but...
So it sounds like an education as far as them being here for you when you were younger, to get you through these nights. why you maybe were lonely or scared of the dark or
And I used to dream a lot when I was a kid, but not the way I started dreaming once I stopped being scared of the dark. Once I stopped being scared of the dark, my dreams pretty much stepped up.
So would you say that they actually were, I'm not going to use this word, it's like almost grooming, but it's not grooming. It's like preparing you to be able to receive these dreams a bit differently, like now?
I think so. And I think that they were also kind of preparing me to kind of just see people out and about.
Yeah.
Like, I realized that from very young I'd gone to a lot of cemeteries and I'd just seen people and just been like, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of in your space. Like, that I accepted because I was like...
Do you believe that? I mean, because some people, I mean, I believe that your soul, for majority of us, doesn't stay where you buried.
Well, some of them do.
Some of them, yeah, I know some of them
Not
do.
all of them, but some of them do.
But I think...
Some of them are still, like, roaming around, living their lives, like, just doing bits and pieces, like, just enjoying...
Right.
The vibes of the day and staying where the things is. Like, they're just roaming around. Like, just...
So now your dreams now... You're saying you're dreaming a lot more, like, was it like more vividly or what is it exactly?
Well, I've always dreamt and I've always written down my dreams and I've always done those type of things, but it was more kind of like, okay, if something was going to happen, then I would find out what's going to happen in my dream and then the next day it would happen or the next month it would happen. It was more that. And then it stepped up. So if I do have a specific dream like that, I know the difference between that type of dream and I know the difference between a dream where I am quantum traveling, which is not the same.
You're going too fast. Quantum traveling, what are you talking about? No, I mean, I know what it means, but I'm sure a lot of people may not know. I mean, maybe I underestimate people, maybe, but I'm just saying that...
I'm saying...
It's worth the explanation. Quantum traveling sounds like a show on Netflix.
Do you remember the show Quantum Leap?
Yeah, I used to watch it.
I used to watch it.
Big fan.
Listen,
love it.
Big time.
But you know what? At first I thought, okay.
I was like, finally, somebody who kind of dreams like me, which was funny. But I never.
He wasn't dreaming though.
I don't remember, but I know that he had a brethren. Do you remember that other guy, the older guy who used to be kind of like his guide, like his Jiminy Cricket?
Yeah.
I didn't have one of those.
Right, you're on your own.
I just go to sleep and then all of a sudden, boom. This is who you are. This is your mission. This is who you have to help. And it was always with whether to give someone courage or whether to say something or whether to like, all right, you see their timeline and then it's your job to jump in right here, do this with them, and then you're done. Like missions, whether it be, I mean, I'll get into it over the period of like us talking with you guys, but.
Have you got an example like about some things that you remember that was, or it could be as late, like it doesn't have to be some things, maybe something you just experienced not so long ago.
Oh, wow.
That was like, wow, this was something.
I'm trying to find out which one's appropriate to talk about.
Quantum traveling or leaping or dreaming, what's the difference for you? Like, how would you explain if someone didn't know?
Well, it's changed.
Are they all the same? Is it something...
I don't have the explanation for everything. I can display up to what I know now. And, like,
what do you know?
If anyone does know in the comment section, like, this is a community base. So if we're all on this same frequency, please.
Well, we're all going to...
Soul family, help us out. But
we're all going to have
for now, the
experiences.
vocab is trying to vocab right now. So, I would say at the beginning, it was like, as I said, you've been given a mission and it was just clear to me you're going to jump into this person's experience, and it's either you're going to be a close friend to them or that person. Mm-hmm. So if I'd look in a mirror, once I jumped into that person's experience, I would see me, I would know I'm me, I'd be here in like my energy. However, I would know that to the outside world, I would be the other person. So in their moments of, I could go from talking to them to jumping into their experience with them and aiding them to have maybe that courage to talk to that person, or that extra fight to having them to do something, or, you know, what I mean, or that moment where they were scared and I have to be there as comfort for them.
Okay. So, okay. So
that's what I understood
that would be quantum dreaming, right?
I guess so.
Let's say it. Well,
I'm only calling it dreaming because it was nighttime and I went to sleep. Like I was sleeping. You see what I'm saying? Like my avatar was sleeping, so I would take it that it was that dreaming. But a lot of the times, you know, people say to you, if you die in a dream, you really die, and all this business. And I mean, and that's another thing, because my family like dabbles in this. And I'm saying dabble is in, no one's coming forward and saying this happens to me, but if someone does have a dream, they're open to talk about it. And we're aware that if, you know, we've got this thing, do you dream straight or not? Which means, like, if something happens in your dream and you say, wow, like, so-and-so's going to have a car accident or whatever, please call them and do whatever. Is it correct? That's what it is. Like, are you accurate? So half of them believe, no, dreams aren't accurate. And half of them believe, no, well, if you do dream something and you feel it, then it's true. But mine was nothing like a dreams, because the thing is, I've experienced dreams. You know, the regular dreams where it's like, I was here and then I went to school and then I came back, and, you know, daily, regular dreams. But these are not dreams, because I'm waking up bruised, tired. If I went through something in the dream and it happened and I was like in the body of somebody or in the experience of someone sharing their energy, I would come back with like aching. Like the next day it's like, wow, my elbow is bruised.
I've heard about thing quite similar, but you know what, that actually get me thinking, because it sounds like during these dreams you're like a guide for
times,
all these lives, a guide maybe to yourself, if it's like you've been in these lives, but like parallel lives, or
at times worlds. Definitely, because like I'll give you an example. There was, and I'd be in different countries and I'd speak different languages. Right. And there were always languages where I was like, oh, okay, that's maybe, and then things would happen to me in my day and I'd be like, that's why I eat that food or like that food, or I've been there before, because I'd literally been there. Yeah, I'd literally ate that food. And what I'm trying to explain as well is like, if I go there, I know that at the beginning, I would stay maybe 3 days with the person, 2 days with the person. After a while, I know I'd be there for 3 months, or I'd be there for what feels like here, time-wise, as like 3 months.
Yeah, but do you know what it is? It
just
sounds like
guiding them.
You jumped in these people's lives that could be potentially another you, from another universe. It sounds like a parallel world. But what it sounds like as well is like, because I've heard people have sort of it's almost like an amnesia. So basically they black out, and all this time they were doing some things, they come back and they don't realize they've done whatever they've done. And someone took basically the space for that time being to do whatever.
Like a walk-in.
Yeah, like a walk-in, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a work in itself.
I've literally been at the point, and you've experienced this with me, that it was so tiring in my daily life.
Yeah.
That I'd be like, listen, whoever, okay, because I know who I was talking to. I was like, listen, whoever, me, I don't know who I'm talking to, but whoever is sending me on these missions, I need you to understand I am tired. I am knackered. I need some time off.
It sounds like...
and they would give it to me, and I would get it.
Sounds like
and I would get it. They'd give me 2 months off.
A contract and agreement you've passed before,
100%.
and you just don't remember.
That's all it is, because I was like, I would ask for a couple times off until I'm like not tired anymore, and they would give me like a month off or 2 months off or 3 months off.
It's very funny your experience of these things, because it's a lot like you suffer from being tired from these things, and you
I did,
all
and it got
all
pretty...
the experiences. If I take like from childhood to now,
yeah,
it's more like being like more heavy and quite tiring. But most of the people will probably have traumatic experience. I hear more traumas and it's not because it's supposed to be traumatic. It's just that the fear of these things get people in such of a traumatic state. And, you know, I mean, I experienced it myself, but
I'm not going to sit here and act like there hasn't been certain missions I've been on that have shook me to my core. Yeah. Like, I've woken up after certain experiences and just bawled.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's not also to say that there is missions that I would say I have judged as failed as well.
I understand. It sounds to me, because you only start. What age were you when you started doing these dreams?
Quite frankly, you know what it started? It started like after we got married. That's when it started, you know?
Really?
Like, before then, I would do dreams where I would see things like, you know, for example, if a friend's going to go through something, or if somebody is going to pass away, or if somebody's going to be born, or if someone's going to be pregnant, or those type of dreams. It'd be like, oh, and I'd wake up with just the knowing that so and thing's going to happen, or whatever. And then I'd have regular dreams where it was like, wow, I was in a sea of chocolate and I was eating, and then, like, you know,
yeah, I understand,
childhood dreams, stuff like that. But the work, like, where I'm like, it's very lucid. I feel things. I pick up cups. I drink stuff.
You know
I smell things.
I thought it was way before. I never knew that it started.
Well, you know, I've always dreamt, and I told you, and I shared that with you.
Not particularly.
But when I look back as to when it stepped up into, this is how much, and you're on a mission and all this business, just after we got married.
All right.
But then, hold in mind, just perspective for the crowd, we were married, like, I've known you since I was 19, got married when I was 21, so I was still...
Yeah.
I was still young.
Yeah, I mean, we've been married now for almost 20 years, so... Yeah,
we have. Yeah. Blessings, honestly. Yeah. And,
So, okay. Right. Well, you know, I think, like, we mentioned before, I think there's soul contract, there's different contract you sign, I will say, if you can call this signing something, but you agree to different contract, and I think that certain energies need to meet in order for certain
contracts
spiritual
to start,
work
say, all right,
to
this
begin,
is going to start.
And what, I don't know how it fully work, but it's obvious that because I never knew that. I actually thought that you always had that.
Well, you knew I always saw things because I've even seen things in front of you and be like, do you not see this? Do you not? And you'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I'm not, well, I don't know if I'm clairvoyant, but for me it's more, I hear, well, no, I'm sorry, I little, I shut the shit down.
I know you do, and I'm just
traumatized. I was like, hell no.
You know what? we're gonna have a whole episode about your introduction and story.
But no, it's just to say that. So of course, even if I'm supposed to say that, I would not, because like,
you don't want to.
Well, now I feel a bit differently about it. But obviously, at the time when you used to tell me these things, I was like, I didn't say that.
How did you feel when I used to wake up like and tell you about these things?
The thing is, for me, okay, because I've had my own experience, which one day we'll talk about it, I always believed it. To the point that it's like very close to home for me, because I'm just like, so it was impossible for me not to believe you.
Oh, of course, we never had the art. So
when you told me these things, it was like, wow. Well, I guess different experiences. Not that I care to know too much about it right now. No, I didn't. At the time, I did not. The only time I started caring about more things, more spiritual, is when I started having existential questions. I did not like the world I saw around me, and I started having straight questions about certain things, and certain answers used to come up, like generally speaking in life. So when you used to tell me these things, I was like, there was a time I just remember you being very tired, and I was like, wow.
This is infringing on our lives. Can't you just,
time out?
I remember the conversation. You were like,
can't you tell them, like,
can you not tell them whoever they are that you don't want to work like this anymore? Yeah. Because you are literally tired. And I'd be like, I'm so tired. And and you were like, okay, let me tell you something. You slept 9 hours last night. How are you tired?
It was very disheartening.
It was disheartening. You know, I'd be like, tonight I'm gonna go to bed early.
Because sometimes I was like, wow, that's very disheartening. Yeah. Because I'm like, why, if you sleep 9 hours is not enough, what are we gonna do?
I didn't know.
But you know, like, looking back now, I mean, now you saying all these things, sounds like to me that the very first encounter with spirits that you had is exactly the same. It's like whoever was trying to help or come in and you experienced this. Yeah. Like I said, you were prepared to experience these dreams, because that's just, I guess, mechanically speaking, it works in some way for some of it, where you are supposed to just travel in these different places in other realm, and also you realize as well that it probably is helpful for your own life as well.
Well, it's only as of late, I'm saying the past 5 or 6 years, it started to be less about missions for other people and more about me now jump into alternate realities of my own life, my own avatar.
Would you say you're starting to have control over it? Because it sounds like a form of like, okay, I'm starting mastering.
As of the past 2 years, yes, I can say, all right, let's stay clear. Started with, can we stay clear of?
What did you do? What did you change in your approach in order for this to happen?
I think it's my understanding. I have experienced what people would say is a dark night of the soul, where like a lot of shadow work had to be done.
Right.
And in that, I got a lot of the answers, and I realized that all of the missions I was on were preparations for this clearing, this healing.
Right. So would you say that you getting tired in a way kind of like made you stronger, like spiritually speaking? So now...
No.
So
I
what
was
is it
just
then?
tired, and I begged them at some point, can you just stop? I cannot. I've got to... At that point, I was having my third child. I was like, listen, I genuinely just don't have time for this. You're going to have to be way more selective as to when you do it. Like, I don't know what you're doing. It was that. It was like, again, nuisance, right?
Yeah.
But I got to check it, because every nuisance kind of turns out to be for a reason. Stop calling it a nuisance. It was that. So now it's stepped up to another level. I'm not holding space to call it a nuisance. It's clear what it is. In some way, this is happening for me, and I've just accepted it as such now.
Okay, so where we at now then? Did you say another level? So what would you say it is now?
Well, now I have gone several times to different timelines of this avatar that I am.
Well, hold on. Avatar. What are you talking about? No, I mean, I know you, so I know what you talking about, and I know, like, and I have my own belief as well, if you will.
I'm trying to say it in a way that I don't have vocabulary for all of it. I'm saying, okay, under the concept, under the belief that we are multidimensional beings, then if you're having a human experience and you are a multidimensional being, then there's multiple dimensions of you, right? So there's the you who didn't have a child, and then there's the you who is a plumber, or the you that, and this is just examples, or the you that decided to go and live in Timbuktu, or the you that lives on another version of Earth that maybe doesn't have...
Like in The Flash.
Right, like in The Flash. That if you are Marvel or DC, then you get it. Flash. Slash, Avengers, Thanos' ring, click, 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 that type of thing. Like, jump into different timelines and places where you exist.
Right.
Where you exist. And where the real big change happened for me was in a dream that I'm gonna have to explain in the next episode, because we are out of time.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Who? Yeah.
So I know, cliffhanger, because that's how she likes it. It's exciting. If you, I'll talk about it in the next episode. If you are here still, thank you for holding space, and thank you for co-creating this with us. And we will see you soon. And feel free to share your stories in the comments section. Be kind, be loving, and be compassionate. And be you. See ya.
Ciao.